Okay guys, so today I'm going to be talking you through how to set up a fish tank aquarium for the first time. The first thing you need is a tank, of course. I really can't emphasize the difference in price between getting a tank new from the shop and getting it used from something like Craigslist or eBay or Gumtree. So actually, before looking at the tank, the first thing I'd say to you is decide what kind of fish you'd like, because if you decide what fish you'd like, then you can see how big they're going to get and whether they live in by themselves, in pairs, in large groups, because that will give you an indication as to what kind of size tank you need. So just take a trip to your local fish store, see what you like the look of, ask the employees there how big tank you would need for them. Also do your research online, because sometimes even the guys who work there don't know their stuff. Okay, so once you know what size tank you need, I would say if you have the money, buy one that's a little bit bigger, because it allows you room for adding more tank mates of the same species. It also allows you, if you perhaps want to change, you can sell your fish or give them to a friend and go for another species that are bigger and require a bigger tank. So again, I would definitely recommend looking at buying a used second-hand one, because in the shops a 60 litre like this would probably cost you at least £80. I managed to get it for £20 from a independent seller. Obviously it wasn't in great shape when it had a few scratches on the back. It was dusty and everything, but all it takes is a bit of water and just wiping it down, and it's just so much cheaper compared to buying it in the shop. Another thing you have to consider is the stand. This tank is currently sitting on an old TV stand, which I didn't need anymore, and it's more than strong enough to hold it. So the stands can actually be quite expensive if you buy it in the shop again, maybe £60 or even more. But if you have a cabinet or some kind of desk or set of drawers at home that you think can hold it, remember that the tank is not too heavy by itself, but when you add water in it and stones and everything, it gets a lot heavier, and just be careful of that. Okay, so the first things you'll need if you want to set up a tank is you'll need a filter. If the tank is quite small, this is a 60 litre, so it's fine, and you can do with a internal filter. I have one right in the corner just there. But for bigger tanks, perhaps above 80 litres, most people go for an external filter because it's easier to manage. Another thing you may need is a heater. Mine's there. You'll only need a heater if you're caring for tropical fish. So cold water fish such as goldfish, koi, obviously you won't need a heater. But for most of the fish that people go for, guppies, tetras, gouramis, cichlids, all of that, you will need a heater. I think this heater is 100 watts, and that's more than enough for a 60 litre. Even a 50 watt would be enough, but I bought that with in mind that I may want to get a bigger aquarium sometime soon, and so I wouldn't have to buy another heater, it would be enough by itself. Okay, so the next thing you'd need is some substrate. I've gone for white gravel. It's not all white so more because it's been through a few months of living with fish and they do things to it. So consider your fish that you're buying and think about what gravel is best for them. What substrate is best for them. Such as with German blue rams, sand is best for them because they like to. Actually, with a lot of tropical fish, sand is a good option because a lot of tropical fish love to constantly be on the lookout for food. So if you do have gravel with sharp edges, it could damage them when they're searching for food, but thankfully that rarely happens. So another thing you'll need is plants. Well, you won't need them, but it is a nice addition to most tanks, providing your fish can live with them. So I always prefer live plants. They do cause a lot of clutter in your tank. I mean, every few days you'll see that there's a clump of leaves or stuff at the top of the tank, but it doesn't take much effort to just remove it. Fake plants, there is the benefit. These two are fake there, and then even the two at the back. So there is the benefit that there's no mess from them. They stay like that all their lives. But with live plants, I just find them a lot more better looking, and obviously they grow with your tank, with your fish, and it's just a nice overall effect to them that you can't get with fake plants. Another thing about live plants, a lot of fish like to mate in privacy, I would say. So a lot of species of fish actually mate within the plants and lay their eggs in plants, and fake plants, they may be able to tell the difference, and if they can, then they may not go for that, and you won't get any breeding whatsoever. So that's why I think it's good to always have at least one real plant in there to facilitate that if possible. So of course you'll also need decorations. I've gone for an Easter Island head there. I love him. And a SpongeBob boat with Mrs. Puff, and SpongeBob's house. Also a piece of tree root there, which is fake but it looks lovely. So with decorations, you want to think about, again, what kind of fish you're keeping, whether they're generally shy or whether they like to swim around the tank and they don't care who's watching or anything. But with decorations, I think it says so much about you as a fish keeper, because I know people who have completely bare tanks with maybe just gravel and water, and they say, oh yeah, that's fine, it's enough for my fish to live and get by. But well, for me anyway, the joy of having a fish tank is really being able to be creative with gravel, rocks, plants, all your kind of decorations, and just providing a nice environment for your fish to try and resemble nature as much as possible. Okay, another thing you might need that some people usually forget on the first trip to the store is the background. It's not necessary, and I've seen a lot of tanks that look really nice without a background, like so you can see through to the other side, but behind this tank is just a wall and all you'd see is wires, so I've gone for a background. Okay, so the next, probably the most important thing about the startup process, and probably also the most difficult part, is cycling your tank. With cycling your tank, you need to leave the tank to run by itself for a few weeks, so that the water is set up and the chemistry is correct to allow your fish to live in it. During this period, some people recommend leaving the tank completely free of any fish, of anything, but some people do tend to go for species of fish that are very hardy, and they actually speed up the cycling process by resembling how the tank would be when it's naturally set up. So if you're looking for a cold water tank, again, goldfish, koi, they're very hard, shabunkins as well, they're very hardy. You can probably put them straight in. Maybe leave it a few days actually, just to allow the cycling process to start a little bit. But they're very hardy, so you can put them in quite soon compared to other species. With tropical fish, I'd recommend gouramis, probably just the regular blue or golden ones. You could go for the dwarf or honey ones, but I don't think they're as hardy as the other gouramis. Cichlids are also, African cichlids are also very hardy as well. I've had them live in less than ideal conditions for a while, which I was forced to do. A lot of people used to say guppies, and you'll find a lot of pet stores do still say, oh yeah, go with guppies, they're fine to cycle your tank. Guppies originated from Asia, I think it's East India, and they used to live in like really dirty waters, in rivers, canals and things like that. So they were very hardy a long time ago, but when they were brought over and they were being bred in Europe and other parts of the world, obviously they were kept in a lot better environments, so now they're a lot less hardy than they used to be. And I've actually gone through perhaps 2 or 3 times where I've bought guppies in from the fish shop because I've been told that they're good for cycling, and then it's only recently I heard where they originated from and the story of why they're not so hardy anymore. So all of my guppies didn't make it, unfortunately. So again, back to cycling. What you can do to speed up cycling is actually put some fish food into the tank. Even though there are no fish in there, it speeds up the cycling process because it breaks down into ammonia. Ammonia's toxic for fish, and it will kill your fish if you feed them if you overfeed them a lot. That's why you constantly hear people going on about overfeeding and how it can be dangerous. So what you want to do is put a little bit of fish food in the tank, and this will be broken down, and it will break down into ammonia, which again is toxic for the fish. But if you've got your filter going and your everything set up, then the ammonia will be broken down into nitrates. Nitrates again is still toxic to fish, but nowhere near as much as ammonia, and it's okay in small amounts. So even when your tank is fully set up, you will have amounts of nitrate all around, but that's what water changes are for, to remove the ammonia and put fresh water into it again. Okay, so that's how you do cycling. Some pet stores will say to you a week is enough for cycling, but again, I think this is pet stores just looking to have you back in as soon as possible, buying fish and then them dying again and you buying more. So some experts would say up to 2 months to cycle a tank. I've found that 3 to 4 weeks is enough, providing you've got a hardy species in there as well. So as I said earlier, gouramis is a really good one to go with. I think they're the hardest species I've come across, along with cichlids. Both are very good, but obviously they can't live together. So I think that's the video for today. So I'll just go through the points again. Think about what fish you want to keep, how big they're going to get, whether they live by themselves, in pairs or in big groups. With the tank, try and always go a bit bigger than you need, and obviously if you have the money for it, because it allows room for upgrading. Again, I want to emphasize the price difference between buying new from the shop and buying secondhand on something like eBay or Gumtree. Again, so if you're beginners watching this, you'll need a filter. Mine's just there in the corner. If it's a reasonably small tank like this, an internal filter will be fine. You'll need a heater if you're keeping tropical species, which most people tend to go for. And it's fine to go for tropical species, because what I would say to you though is don't go straight into marine if you haven't kept either cold water or tropical before, because that is tricky. I've done a lot of research into marine myself, but I haven't been able to keep any yet due to price mostly. But once I do have the experience, I'll be happy to make videos helping you guys. So next, there's substrate. Consider your substrate, what kind of fish you're keeping and what would be best for them. Plants, always try and have at least one live plant just to give variety. Oh, unless the species that you want to keep really doesn't get on with plants. I learned through mistake of putting live plants with African cichlids, and they didn't like them one bit. They tore them to shreds, not even to eat them, just to tear them up and watch them float around basically. Okay, so next is decorations. Just get stuff that makes it look nice, for the fish to explore, for them to have a hiding place maybe, if they're not extremely not shy. Next, a background, if you need one or if you'd like one. Again, it's really cheap, so I think it does make the tank look a lot nicer. Lastly, oh sorry, I forgot to mention lighting. Lighting can be quite expensive if it is a tank, if it's a shop bought tank. I mean, this one came without a hood because I bought it from an independent seller. So what I had to do was go online on eBay, and I actually bought, there's 3 tubes there, you can see. This one at the front and at the back are identical. They're white lights and they provide the daylighting that I need. The one on the side there is a night light, so it's a blue light, and I just switch between them during day and night obviously. I only have one light on at the moment. I think I didn't really need to buy 2, but I find the tank is so much more enhanced when there are 2 on. I'll just pause the video now and put it on. Oh yeah, one thing I have to mention is that fish keeping is an addiction. When you start, you only think, oh yeah, I'll have 1 tank, I'll get these fish, everything will be fine. But once you get 1 tank, through talking to friends, through research, you find out about other species, and you just want to expand, you just want to be able to keep them as well. And then you discover that, oh, my tank's overcrowded, I might have to buy another tank to keep them, or this species won't be able to live with my current species, so I'm going to have to buy a new tank. It is a big thing getting into fish keeping because it's a big commitment. I won't lie to you, it does take quite a bit of money, time not so much. Time, it only takes time when you have to set up the tanks, and I mean, you only have to do a water change perhaps every 2 to 4 weeks. So once they're up and running, there really is not much maintenance. It's just feeding the fish, ensuring they get enough daylight and night light. But yeah, it is a big addiction, and I'm warning you now before you get into it. But if you're willing to take it on, then you will enter one of the most wonderful worlds that the world has to offer, if that makes sense. Yeah, okay. Okay, so I know it's not a huge difference, but I just really like this. I think it makes it look a lot better. And the lights weren't expensive, to be honest. The long bars of white lights, I think they were £6 each from eBay, and the short one was I think 5. So if you do get a shop bought tank, then some of them come with hoods with built-in lights. It's fine to start with, but if they break, sometimes it can be hard to find replacements, and what's even worse is they're usually very expensive. So now that I've discovered these lights from eBay, I'm probably going to stick with them my whole life. And yeah, that's it. The last point again, cycling. It's really important because a lot of people come home with their new tank. They set it up, they've got it ready like this, and all they want to do is see fish swimming around in it. That is the hardest point as a fish keeper. Patience, really, because a lot of people, they give in to the temptation. They get new fish before they think that the tank is ready, before they've tested levels of nitrates and ammonia, and this is why a lot of fish die from being put in tanks too early that aren't mature enough, and it is essentially money wasted. And from then on, it can give you a negative view, especially if you're a beginner and you're looking to start out. It could put you off it for a long time. So really, guys, cycling is really important. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, you may want some help with cleaning up algae. I've got a snail there. He's lovely. A lot of the fish they don't nip at him, but they have a look when they see him, and they have a little sniff and stuff. But the tank is clean now, but over time you will get a lot of build-up of algae on the glass, especially the front glass, I find. And you can get snails, shrimp, those are the main ones, really. Sorry, I also have a little loach, if you can just about see him there. Yeah, there he is. He's less for cleaning algae and more for picking up bits of food that drop to the bottom that the fish can't find, so in between rocks and things like that. Okay, I think that's the video done. If you have any questions, please leave it in the comments. Good luck to all you new fish keepers.